All right, I think we're live.
Hell yeah.
If anybody's out there,
Let us know how the video and the sound are coming through.
yeah, let us know if you can hear us. It
New
was
setup.
new setup and was definitely chimping earlier. Just going to check our YouTube channel, of course, because I'm a boomer. Oh my God, my phone is going so slow now. It's literally going to be faster to just check it on the computer. This is so annoying. Are we live?
One hopes.
Connect to stream. Come on.
There we go.
All right, we're live. Can we hear it? I don't know.
Is the sound off the TV again?
Yeah, it is.
That's right. Well, at least we can be.
All is fine. Good.
Good.
That's what we want to hear. Because, it's not going to play because the sound's not on. God damn it. How embarrassing for us. Let's try this again.
I'm retarded.
I don't know if you guys heard that. We have a soundboard now. We're still figuring out how to get it to
actual radio DJs.
Yeah. You watching on Roku? Okay, let's see here. That's a good camera. Yes, it is. I am very pleased with it. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah,
nice setup. Thank you, Wandering Mage.
Much obliged.
You watching on Roku? No. It's everything's hooked up. Got the computer and it's running through the TV.
So we can see the
so we can
chat.
see it.
Yeah,
and we can see the chat without having to stare at some tiny ass text or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but we've got full Bert and Ernie. Got a civil union. Nixon, Texas forever.
Forever.
And this is going to be kind of the setup going forward for a little while until I eventually move, and we have to reconfigure everything again.
Right.
Krafty says, "I am here, but I'm working. I'll try to engage as I can."
Right on, man.
Awesome. Well, if we are still on and you're not working later, and you want to pop into the stream, we would be more than happy to have you join.
Hell yeah.
Shauner says, "I see."
Indeed. Yeah. So that being said, what are we talking about today? It's been
it's been only a week since the last one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Back to the usual schedule. No travel.
No more travel, thank God. Oh my God. 3 weddings in 4 weeks. Nick just moved. It's been an arduous journey for quite a while.
Yeah. Finally, hopefully done for a little bit. I do have to go back for Thanksgiving, but
Shauner, are you okay? D&D for the win. This is
bring back Shauner.
Blink twice if you're in danger.
Yeah.
You have to go back, you said?
For Thanksgiving, just for...
Oh, right. Yeah, we will not be doing a Thanksgiving stream. We might stream that week, but not on Thursday.
No.
Nick will be away, and I will be with my family a little bit north as well.
Nice.
Oh, shit, it's the boys. Yes, it is Nathaniel Alvarez. Winning in RPGs, etc. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's going to be kind of our topic tonight. We'll meander around and talk about other stuff. I got some books that I pulled off of my nightstand because I never finish any book at once.
Yeah.
And I have
all of my books. The movers with the U-Haul box just got here at 3:15 today.
Mm-hmm.
So now my empty apartment is filled with giant plastic bins, along with all of my RPG inventory. I haven't bothered opening it. I have a bookcase coming on Saturday.
Yeah.
But we'll be showcasing some of that, some of the stuff I have as time and circumstance permit.
Shauner wins the most in D&D games, he says.
Does he? He wins by not playing.
Yeah.
is the answer. So, correct.
Yeah.
The only way to win is to not play the game.
Now, that is not actually our full opinion on that.
Right.
But yeah, so Krafty went on Ryan Howard's stream last week.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I watched that video. Some good points, but I largely disagree with basically everything.
Yeah. I was like, this video is pretty good. And I sent him the video and was saying Krafty talks about this and blah, blah, blah. And it goes, I disagree with literally everything that was said in this video.
Yeah. But we'll get into that. But I mean, that's what that begs the question, right? What is winning at tabletop RPGs? Is that how you should be thinking about it? I don't believe so. I mean, you can make a case for it depending on whatever perspective you want to use, but
I think it depends on what you mean by winning.
Right. I mean, this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
Our stance we've said since the beginning. The goal of any RPG, whether it's D&D, whether it's Vampire, whether it's Traveler, or anything else, the goal is to be immersed in the character. The goal is to, as the GM, present an accurate, logically consistent, genre-consistent world that reacts to to character choice. I'm not really even a big fan of the phrase player agency. I'm less concerned about player agency than I am concerned about character agency.
Yeah.
The more of a disconnect there is between you as the player and you as the character, the worse that it is. And we talked about player and character incentives being more in alignment. It can make this easier, right? We're talking about Axe. We're talking about Alexander McCreese's. What's the new? It's Axe 2, right?
Axe 2, yeah.
Yeah. That's what winning is from my perspective.
Simulationism.
I mean, it's a combination. I don't think any of those existing gamer terms or the GNS theory terms really apply. From a GM perspective, yes, you want to run the world
as if it was real.
As if it was real.
Yeah.
Correct. As a player, it's less about overcoming obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, anything dramatic involves overcoming obstacles. Sure. But this isn't a game first. I would say this isn't. There's no win condition for accruing the most gold, the most experience, speed running any of these sort of video game or board game perspectives. That's not to my mind what the activity is about. You're trying to get into your character. You're trying to.
Well, yeah. This is where we have just a fundamentally different starting point,
right,
than a lot of other people, because this let's actually chat. There's a lot of chat here going. Shauner says most good videos I like are the ones I disagree with, which is true, because that means that someone actually has an opinion, and most YouTube content has no opinion and it's nothing but apologies for. If you disagree with me, it's okay. Yeah, I'll take it back. I'll take it back.
I could be a piece of shit. Yeah. Yeah. That's worse than even the most the opposite opinions I have on anything.
Having the opposite position is way
at least you have a position.
What's the quote from the Bible where God says, it's like, if you are lukewarm, I will vomit you from my mouth.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, if you
right.
I would rather you be evil, but basically.
Right. Not having an opinion, being spineless or worse. Being boring.
Yeah, I know. That is the worst.
The worst sin.
Yeah. I'm fine with you disagreeing. I wanted to make a compelling case and not meander in my thoughts, and I think you did that.
Yes.
Made a compelling case, not meandered in your thoughts.
Yeah.
Very clearly thought out. No hesitation. The ideas have been obviously thought through and put into immense practice. And so if you guys missed this video, basically, Krafty was talking about kind of his background in fighting video games, like Street Fighter, Tekken, Virtua Fighter, all this stuff, and how there's like most people just play those games for fun, and people who take it more seriously and want to play to win are not doing it for this surface level amusement. They want to actually master everything, including not just the combos you have, but the things in the way the game actually functions. He's talking about like negative frames and things like that, which I've heard the term before, but I don't recall what that actually means. But it's people who go to like extreme lengths to truly master the gameplay and to fight other people who are also at that level.
Right. Which is commendable.
Yeah, that is cool. That is awesome.
And from an RPG perspective, or any perspective, you should be engaging in the activity if you really enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you shouldn't just be having, quote unquote, having fun. You should be trying to do this with intention.
Right.
Like, what is your intention? You know,
that's where we differ, because I think the thing is that like Krafty and I think this is kind of a shared thing with like the BroSR guys a lot, is that I don't think that they're going in for just surface level fun amusement, even with the Muppet campaigns and everything like that.
I don't know. I would I would say they claim that they're going in for intention, but if you're coming up with Muppets, like, are you really going as far?
But they're doing a fundamentally different activity than what we're doing.
Yes.
So, which is why it's like the where you are focusing the taking it seriously is these are the two completely different starting points.
Right.
Like, and so Krafty, again, like he also said that, you know, the playing to win in any game, whether it's an RPG or fighting games or anything, is basically really engaging with the full depth and breadth of all the mechanics, and not ignoring anything, not obviously not fudging, but not removing rules or moves or things like that, simply because it's like someone thinks it's unfair or cheap if you can do it and they can't.
Right.
And that actually lessens the experience and lessens the game.
Right.
And
I think the corollary he was making with RPGs, the translation would be, I don't remember if this was mentioned explicitly or not. I feel like it was, but maybe I'm misremembering. Like different feat combinations, or certain classes or prestige classes. We're not going to include these because of X, Y, and Z, or because it's overpowered or it's underpowered, or what have you. I think that's what that's what he would say.
Getting rid of like specific spells or something.
Oh yes,
they did have an exception, which was some stupid spell from Strixhaven.
Well, that should be taken out.
That supplement should be taken out.
Yes.
And since I don't know the spell, I'm sure he's probably right, but I can't speak as to whether or not that's an arbitrary distinction on this or not, simply because I don't know. And he's really huge on reading the manual, everybody knowing the rules, and not skipping them. The rules are important. I actually agree with that basically 100%. Like there's nothing worse than running a game and nobody but the GM knows the rules.
Right.
It fucking sucks.
Certainly the core conflict resolution mechanic.
Right.
Nobody
is expected to have memorized every single mechanic.
What's the incremental damage per round on fire or drowning?
Like, right. What were the keywords on this power or charm or whatever? Like,
you should know the core resolution mechanic, and you should know everything that your character could do.
Yeah,
at the least.
And you should. I mean, the GM needs to have a very good grasp on everything. But the players, the best games are when everybody is invested. Everybody knows the rules.
Right. If for no other reason than it doesn't slow anything down. You all can stay in that zone.
Right. Yes. And so I 100% agree with that. And I do agree generally that if you have a well-designed game and you don't know all of the rules, or you read something and you're just like, I don't want to do that, you are probably missing out on something important to the experience of the game.
Well, I mean, it's like chess and fence, right? You should understand what it is that you're removing before you remove it.
Yeah. Chesterton's fence, I think you can just as easily flip that though, because it's like, if you can't justify the existence of something, you should get rid of it.
Right, but you should make your level best attempt to figure it out, and if you can't, well, okay,
sure. And the thing, I have a pretty conservative bias, so of course I'm like, yeah, of course Chesterton's fence makes sense.
Right.
But I think conceptually it's not as strong as people like to claim that it is.
Yeah.
We're getting in the weeds here though. Let's see what else they said. I can only imagine winning is having peak experience in RPGs. Yes. Correct. But again, what is the peak experience? That determines how you're going to play the game.
Right.
And what you're going to focus on as important in the game.
Because we and other people have made, we brought up before that you can be, quote unquote, engaged with something from different levels and different aspects of the game. They're not all the same thing. And quote unquote immersion, a la engagement in like a mechanics or the out of character excitement of a dramatic combat, let's say, or rolling the dice and getting a natural 20, getting multiple natural 20s, getting a natural 1, overcoming an obstacle,
or getting
it's not the same thing as being immersed in your character.
Right.
I was recently watching I think it's Runeslinger's latest video where he's talking. He mentions this. He mentions switching costs between different sectors of play.
Yeah,
you can be engaged at different levels with different things. Not all of those things are immersion in your character.
Right.
And immersion in your character that's the highest.
Yeah, and Mr. Max has said before too, like he likes combat and likes the tactical nature of combat because it is a context switch, because taking, doing the immersive roleplay thing is kind of mentally taxing, and so he's like, I can kind of take a break from that, and get into more of the game aspect of it, and then drop back in, which I think is fair. It's fair.
I don't 100% agree, but fair enough. That's fine. I'm not like opposed to that.
Canucksroom says, "Are you having fun? Tiger blood all around. Winning." Krafty says, "That block ledge game that is part of it, but that's not the entire path to winning." I'm slowly trying to get through what I remember you saying.
There's a long video.
Yeah, it was a long video, and you made a lot of really good points, and there was some stuff in it that I really liked. In particular, when Krafty was talking about the mechanics and in regards to monsters, as a GM, you need to know how to read a stat block and how that actually plays out in the game and in the world, because it's not arbitrary nonsense, and it tells you a lot about what the monster is going to do. Like if you have an owlbear, it's high constitution, it's high. I think he said high strength, really low intelligence,
or like a high wisdom.
Yeah, like sort of high wisdom. So it's the type of thing is like, this thing is going to like try and maul you, but if it starts taking lots of damage, its higher wisdom is going to be like, I have to leave.
Right.
And so in a sense, it was like the stat blocks inform how you role play the monster, and if you do like we were saying, if you're using the mechanics to make an honest read, to inform roleplay, then that is 100% awesome. That's great. And you would want, ideally, a game that had mechanics that encouraged roleplay and guided roleplay in this way. That's cool. And I do like that you roleplay the monsters as to our definition of roleplay, which is making decisions as if it were a real thing in the world. Like he was talking about a combat he had with a dragon where the dragon was like, I'm going to kill the wizard. So it grabbed the wizard and started flying hundreds of feet up to attempt to drop it. The wizard got away using magic.
Yeah.
But it's not simply, it has a claw attack, it has a breath attack. It's taken everything that it can do and then do those things in a way that is consistent with the world and with the way that thing would act. At least that is my interpretation.
I think that's right, and I agree with you, and I agree with Krafty. If you're using the mechanics as they're presented to try and you're trying to divine the nature of this thing or creature, realistically, that is good. Now, I will say this. A lot of the examples, as I recall, in that video were all combat instances. Now, you can make the case that anytime you're going to be interacting with these things in the monster manual, 99 times out of 100, they're going to be combat instances anyway. I don't know if I agree with that.
Not necessarily. I mean, there's lots of monsters that aren't necessarily.
No, right, yeah. Exactly. So don't.
That's also why they use reaction rolls.
Right. Don't. The verisimilitude and the believability, the realism that you're drawing from the mechanics, we're using the mechanics to augment your understanding and your role play of a creature, a quote unquote monster, that shouldn't necessarily be limited to. This is a combat encounter, or it's going to be a combat encounter. How am I going to play this thing or these things in a combat? A goblin, a hobgoblin, a dragon, certainly. These are not wild animals, right? Now, it's maybe different from a giant ant is easier, right?
Hyper intelligent giant ant.
Hyper intelligent giant ant.
Character versus character instead of player versus player. Yes.
Right.
INJS stuff. Sorry, INTJ master race here. Roleplay solves everything. It does. It solves most things, I would say.
It can solve everything except people who don't want to roleplay.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the
Which is the only problem.
It's the full package. Reading, understanding, playing an immersive game, and continuing to grow in your role-playing acumen through the manual, playing the game, and reflecting. I don't disagree. I don't know that that's the whole package, though. I agree with everything you're saying. I'm not saying any of that's wrong.
Right.
I think there's another. This is just the thing, though. It's the starting point. The stats on my character sheet matter. The abilities that I have matter in that they are the limitations on what I can, not always necessarily limitations, but they are the actions that I can take in the world. But my focus is always going to be starting from the character and treating them as a real person.
Right.
And that is, to me, that's the single most important thing in these games. Let's try and catch up with the whole chat, and then I have something I'll launch into. A story results from an encounter. Being safe. Winning encounters or being immersed is not the only path.
I mean, that's self-evidently correct. It's not the only path, but I think it's the only. Being immersed is the only path I'm really interested in.
Yes.
So you can play a game for any number of reasons. You could play your Muppets. You can play Strixhaven, right? You could play Social Justice Warriors.
Not when I'm president.
Right.
That will not be allowed. Yeah. I'll come back to that one. Instead of being safe, instead of being novel. Teaching a chimp to do taunt jet upper in Tekken.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wow, there's a whole lot of chats here. If you throw a punch and the punch is blocked, you are at -10 frames. So this is negative frames. You must be
right.
If you tried to throw another punch, you are at negative frames. If your opponent has a 10 frame or less move, it will beat. Oh, okay.
It's like the timing and the way it, like the sprites resolve or whatever. I'm not even sure if those terms make sense.
Did you know that Mortal Kombat 2, which is notoriously difficult, was literally impossible to beat? I think because the system is like you would get 2 fights basically where the computer was being somewhat fair. And then it had things where it wasn't just that it's faster at doing punches than you. It was literally responding to the inputs you were doing. So it's like you pressed A and you're throwing a punch and it's like
it's reacting before it
before it can possibly So it was just like people like fuck
after it was released.
This was the strategy. This was in the arcade game.
Damn.
Like it was like impossible. It was just to get people to put more quarters in because Mortal Kombat was such a massive success. Yeah, it was such horseshit. That supplement is a suppository. Fluxcap says easy. It means finding a group that makes it all the way to level 7. That's winning D&D.
Right.
Who makes it 7 sessions in. That's winning at D&D. Although it is funny, my Lion and Dragon game did only go for 6 sessions, but that is because they all died.
They all died, and they died by their hand.
They died essentially by their hand. And
they chose
they were too impatient to make multiple characters on session 1,
right?
And just wanted to jump in, so they had no backups.
Yep. Consequences.
Yep. Perhaps an elementary aspect of winning in a role-playing game is immersion or presence. If everyone is present, not on screen or having a side chat, etc., and invested, you're all winning. That's definitely part of it. Definitely part of it.
This is. Well, let's finish up with the chat before.
Once you've learned the rules or frame data, then you can know when and where to bend the rules and where the rules are busted. Know how to counter busted and make better rulings. But this is where I think we start to really disagree on this stuff. Is that?
Well, I think this is. Well, he's mainly talking about video games here.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
But I think that this is related in that. The philosophy is the same in role-playing games. And it is the whole thing of like power gaming, where you are optimizing builds and optimizing the mechanics in a way that is essentially a detachment. It is from playing the character as a real person, whereas you're kind of playing it at this meta level. Mm-hmm. And that's something I need to put on the soundboard is Norm saying, I hate meta.
Nice.
But it's you're divorcing yourself in a way from the character. Like, yes, I think that I have a pretty good grasp on how the world works, and I could very much more optimize my life, but I don't have the godlike knowledge of the physics of the universe in this real world that we live in, that I can hyper optimize,
all the aspects,
and
even the stuff that isn't the hyper aspects. Like, we all know we should be eating better, working out more. Yeah. Like, it's not that easy, right? Like, even the things which you can change in your life, which you could do, that is fully within your power, like physically to do. You can't even optimize your life.
Right, but my counter to that would be that if you're playing in fantasy and you're playing like heroic characters, these are larger than life. They are most of the time better than you.
No, I'm just using that as an example to reaffirm that optimization is not it's not realistic.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. So there's the thing is it's like it is kind of divorcing everything from the hyper reality of the game world to optimize this meta level that on the game aspect of it. And I think when you're doing that, you are going to interfere with authentically role playing. And our starting point is authentic role play. We'll get into this again. We're trying to catch up with the chat. We're almost there. Explosive dice, so immersive. I like explosive dice. And I'm not against the game part of role-playing games either. I do like the gamified elements and the rolling dice. And
I just want it,
but I want it
as much as is possible to be flowing in the same direction I am.
Yeah, and the purpose of the mechanics is to try to simulate that world or that genre that you're playing in.
Right.
Immersed in the initiative order. Step one for great gaming is knowing what precise experience you want. Yes, speaking generically of immersion isn't helpful, which is why specific goals like otherworld/character immersion help a lot. Yes, except that I guess it's even with the term immersion, you have to explain what that means. Except that you have to explain these terms to outsiders who don't know them. And that can be kind of difficult sometimes. Or at least make the communication unclear. Hear me out. Strixhaven survival horror game during the Phyrexian invasion. This is a canon event in Magic the Gathering lore. Think cyborg Cenobites from Hellraiser that transform people into more Phyrexians.
I'll play Strixhaven if I get to roleplay the one burning it down.
Earlier this week, I learned that winning was not being a scrub. Seemed like a good advice to me. True. You shouldn't complain and be a bitch about things.
No. Yeah. No. That's always weak.
Yeah.
In any activity.
Right. You got it. You just said it. Use the mechanics to make an honest read and react to that read. Yeah. Okay. So we're on the same page there. We don't disagree with you there. And along with reading the manual and playing rules as written, this all only applies if you have a good game. Because there are poorly designed games and sometimes rules and stat blocks don't make any sense and they need to be changed. A prime example of that would be not exactly the game that I have here, but so this is Blood and Smoke, what is now known as Vampire the Requiem 2nd Edition. The first edition of this game, the physical disciplines, your super strength, your super speed, your super resilience to damage, sucked. They really fucked up the mechanics. They were already not that great in Masquerade, but I did not know a single person who did not house rule the physical disciplines in Vampire the Requiem 1st Edition because they were poorly designed. In the 2nd edition, they are much, much better and much cooler. And I do play those out, rules as written. Another aspect of winning, the game has to be intelligible or otherwise meet a certain threshold of verisimilitude, 100%. Example, dungeon ecosystems versus Everstocked dungeon just because. Yes.
Right.
This is something we've said many times and taken heat for from stupid people.
Yes.
Yeah, the dungeon needs to make sense in the world. And this is actually, I got the...
And even the existence of dungeons and the amount of quote-unquote dungeons needs to make sense.
Needs to make sense, yeah. So, I got the Sinister Stone of Sakura adventure module for Axe, and I've been reading that, and it is very well thought out. I think I would probably have to tweak a couple of things, but it I think meets my criteria of this is not a funhouse dungeon and it makes sense within the world and it's cool as fuck. One of the other things is in the Axe Kickstarter updates, he released the table of contents for the judge's journal, and in the dungeon building section, the last rule on it, because it's like
step one,
map,
step two,
it's like
three.
step 1, step 2, step 3. And it's like map the dungeon, stock the dungeon, create random wandering monster encounter tables, do the treasure tables, set traps, blah, 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 blah. Last step, review for verisimilitude.
Yeah.
I was like, the line that is missing from literally every
Everything.
other
Yep.
everything. The issue with some of these replies are my limit of 200 characters to type. Yeah, it is frustrating.
We get it.
I definitely understand that pain. Immersed in following the game rules. Winning in RPGs. Play your campaign like it isn't an NPC. I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know.
Maybe
you should be running your NPCs as believable.
Right,
people.
but he might be referring to NPC in the colloquial insulting sense.
As a
video game NPC. The brainless. Yeah. Roleplay is the only path. Immersion will happen from that. Yes. Roleplay is the activity. This is something Pundit said on Twitter months ago. Roleplay is the activity. Immersion is the experience that comes from it.
Right. Correct.
Just use better game mechanics for roleplaying. Yes. That's easier said than done sometimes, though, because I know you might disagree with this, Sean, because you have adapted. I think you use one system, if I'm correct.
One edition of one system.
One edition of one system, and then you adapt every game setting that you want to play in to that system. I don't think it is.
I don't think he even does that. Maybe one of us is going to be wrong. I think Shunner just plays Traveler. Because I believe, Shunner, I've heard you say that systems that try to do everything don't work. And I would agree with you there. Because different genres are not going to work with a rule system which might be perfectly written and perfectly designed for another genre. Like, you're not going to get a good experience playing superheroes at the level of Superman or the Justice League with blood and smoke. Right.
Yeah, and if you try to do that, it's going to be a different genre and a different experience. You can't. The mechanics are a part of whatever the vision and the genre of the game are.
Like your vampire and Superman both have strength, but
well, I mean, this is like people tried adapting Vampire the Masquerade to D20.
Right.
That which is terrible in my opinion. I can't see that working.
It doesn't.
What is so great about meta? Nothing. Let me ask: if a player optimizes his character but plays his role to a perfect T, is that wrong?
I would say it's a starting point question, because even before the character exists, you should be thinking about a character which makes sense based on the circumstances where at least the game is starting.
Mm-hmm.
I could be a perfectly mechanically correct and optimized character, and once that character exists, I can roleplay him. But it's not. It still erodes the verisimilitude, and I would disagree with a player having an optimized character, even if they're a great role player, but have not taken any consideration into the type of world, the area of the world, the circumstances. The idea of playing to win from a primarily mechanical or optimization point of view immediately creates some friction with immersion, which if you're role playing, it's going to have second and third order effects the longer the game goes on, that I think are going to break it down.
Right. And well, there's also, it's like, think about playing like 3.5 or something, and you have this build that goes out to like level 20 or is that the level cap in the game? I don't remember.
I think eventually it got up to 30 with epic levels.
Yeah. So let's just say, like, you chart out before you even start playing the game, you chart out this progression to level 20, and you're going to be on the hunt for specific magical items that are going to gel well with this and everything like that. You are railroading that character.
Right.
In the same sense that a GM is going to railroad their players by having a predefined story, by having this predefined build of the character, you are railroading that character and disregarding anything that might actually happen in the game and in the world. Because this is the thing, like when you're playing, unless you have like an explicit all thieves advance, get this attack throw at level 2, like there's a specific progression. You don't have any choice over the way that these things go. If you do have choice, generally those choices are going to be informed by things that happen in the game over time.
Correct.
And so if you are
and not
optimizing beforehand, then you are trying to put the game on a railroad. And you might not even end up being in activities in the game, just depending on how the game goes. Because you don't know where it's going to go. Where those things might not even be optimized or relevant to what is happening in the game.
I mean, let's take the most significant example that I can think of, like a paladin, or let's.
You are story gaming your character.
Right. Think about a cleric, a priest. Okay, I'm a priest of this god. I'm a priest of. I don't know what's.
Oh, wait, he has a follow up to this. Sorry.
Okay.
As in, he is completely immersed, completely role playing, but has an optimized character. Why is that wrong? If he's role playing and I don't have a problem with that. It's what we were just saying though, that I think that if you are optimizing this progression and this build, then
you're neglecting certain aspects of the experience and of the immersion in character. If you're operating under the assumption that the main draw of the game is to overcome challenges, primarily mechanically, whether you say that's for the drama, the out of character excitement, or because that is the closest mechanically and systematically you can get to a win condition, right? There's no stated win condition other than, I can infer that it's to reach max level.
Well, for us, there is no win condition. This is another thing that the others are saying.
Correct.
I mean, there's no win condition in a gamification sense.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So if you're optimizing a character for that, you are going to ignore or de-emphasize things in an unrealistic way, just by virtue of that fact. Even if you are role-playing the character, I would argue that if the character is quote-unquote optimized in a given moment, like you said, that doesn't necessarily, you can't maintain optimization as like a prime directive without being willing to sacrifice the optimization, to sacrificing the immersion of the character and the role play to optimization. So let's say if I'm playing, let's even set aside the character build all the way up to level 20. I'm playing a cleric of Ilmater, right? Okay, I have all the feats and things for all the whatever. I'm a mechanically optimized cleric, level 1 cleric of Ilmater. Let's say 20 sessions from now, I have a crisis of faith for the circumstances that occur in the game and because of my own character's inner life. It would be incredibly disadvantageous and the opposite of optimal for me to break my vows and to abandon my faith to Ilmater, because that is like a mechanical vector to power, right?
Yeah.
But it may be that that's what I have to do because that's what my character would do, or a struggle that my character is having. I would not be able to adequately roleplay that, or really roleplay it at all, if I was concerned about losing whatever level of turn undead and my third level spells, or what have you. Now you could say that the GM, your GM might replace your cleric levels with other commensurate levels, but they may not, and they may not be, and they're not necessarily required to do so. And if I was playing that priest, I wouldn't want the GM to swap me to another class at equal power. I would want to play that depowered, de-optimized character, because that's the road. That's where he is. That's the road he has walked has led him to
the choices he's made. Yeah,
the choices he's made.
Nothing makes my eyes glaze over faster than to hear someone talk about a character build in 5e, and they took 3 levels of cleric, 1 drop of fighter, 1 drop of warlock, 2 levels monk, etc., etc.
Yep. So stupid.
Yeah.
You would not be able to juggle these things in real life. Like whatever,
I know.
Like devotions you would need as a priest, and
now I have this like patron deity or whatever that I have to fucking satisfy as a warlock.
Yeah.
Like,
and for some reason, God is not unhappy that I've made a pact with a devil, and I also have to chant like Buddhist prayers or whatever Eastern nonsense I'm going to bring into the game.
Some people think the focus on optimization isn't role playing. Yeah, I'm sort of one of those people.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I think that. That's us.
and this is the thing. Like, you can, like, to your point about role playing in a combat a monster well by reading sincerely and intently the rules to divine their nature.
Yeah.
You can still approach moments or activities or ways of running the game that we would both agree with. They're good, but they're still, it's like they're accidentally we've accidentally reached this point of like agreement here.
Well, yeah, in the way that, like, yes, we have it's like it does feel as though it's an accidental thing, because maybe not. Correct us if we're wrong here, Krafty, if you're still watching. But I like mechanics that incentivize role play within the genre, and like getting characters to do things that, pushing characters into the world. Like in Vampire, one of them you can't not role play in that game because you get hungry and you have to go feed. And that's going to cause things to happen.
Yeah.
If
you do nothing else, that will cause
the game will happen because of that. Or even like his readings of the monsters, that is good, and that's a sign of like a well-designed game, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, we should also not have to rely on that to do the game. Like the I want people to have things that incentivize them to role play, but ideally I just want people who want to role play in as a baseline. Like
right. And if I'm telling someone new, or I'm bringing someone potentially into a group, I'm going to tell them quite clearly the way this group, the way this game I'm running, the goal is to be immersed in your character.
Yeah, and
not.
And in Krafty's defense, this is something that he explicitly stated, and I 100% agree with, is that you want to game with people that are as invested in this as you, and you want to game with like-minded people.
Right, 100%.
Right. So that is what we have said basically every time that we open our mouths, is that choosing your players and who you play with is the single most important factor to the success or failure of your game.
Right.
Because if you're not all on the same page, and especially if you're very much not on the same page about what you want out of a game, it's just going to suck for everybody.
Right. Completely.
Yeah. Where did the build organically arise from in your character or the world? That's a good question.
And it can't. Like, even let's say an ambitious character who's trying to, I'm Mr. Rowe, I'm going to be the youngest CTO of this company.
Yeah.
That also didn't work for him. And even if it did work for him, it wasn't guaranteed, right? Like, you can, from my character's point of view, he really wants to be a knight. And so there's you could sort of role play. This is how you role play any choice that you make. With regards to like mechanical choices, the feats you get, the spells you choose, etc., etc., etc. There's a way in which you can, if you want to argue that that's how optimization is sort of role played, that can work up into a certain.
Just need to refill my water.
Yeah, that can work up to a certain point, but in the real life, the goals, the ambitions, the desires that we have often don't come to pass, or don't come to pass in ways that we expect or anticipate.
It's also, I think it's much easier to fall into the trap of this meta optimization when you are playing something like Vampire, where you have, like, you get to choose all of your stats and everything, even though there's limits on it.
Right, because that's also not like incredibly well defined, like how growth in the disciplines come.
Yeah, but even just from character creation, like your stats and everything like that.
Yeah,
like that style of character creation encourages more of this optimization.
Yeah, it does,
because it's like, well, I want to be good at this, therefore I'm doing this. And to an extent, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's like, if you like, same thing, if you roll high character stats, like, you should role play those stats, like, you know, like obviously,
right.
But there's more danger in having a lot more choice at character creation for this optimization, and setting yourself on this path to be like,
right,
this is the exact experience, you know.
Right. I mean, it's the point buy dilemma, because in basically character creation in Vampire, Requiem, and Masquerade, it is a point buy. The structure is different, but it's a point buy character creation. And so you have,
and
there's greater danger.
Everyone gets the same pool of points to distribute how they want, which is not how nature works.
It's also like, you know, I could make...
People are gifted in different ways, and some people are the opposite of gifted.
Right, exactly.
They didn't roll very high on the fucking
right.
natural selection.
Right. Yeah, you could be embraced when you were 16, or you can be embraced when you were 87. And but, you know, again, there's no such thing as you can only approach like synthesis here. I would say, largely speaking, that certainly Requiem 2nd edition by and large is well designed, even if like, that's an obvious glaring instance where the mechanics do not match up to like the reality, which you're never going to have 100%. It just can't exist. No model can perfectly emulate reality.
Right, because then it's the thing.
Yeah. Right.
Nathaniel Alvarez, there will come a time, though, through study, when you can optimize a character for the campaign being played in real time without having to pre-plan, because you will know the game wrote. Yeah, like, if you know the rules like the back of your hand, you can optimize on the fly as things are progressing.
With regards to how you're performing your actions.
Yeah, in Street Fighter, you can learn mechanics rote so that you can reduce your mental stack and make reads faster than planned. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose that's the same thing probably in like combat sports as well. You train so much so that you're not thinking automatic about something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Funny that combat sports would be exactly the same as fighting games. Great thought, Matt. 200 IQ. As in character consciously preparing themselves or training, I found 3 game systems so far that work with roleplay. Right. If you use the wrong game and expect it to be something it's not, then get angry when the campaign breaks down, you're a scrub. Yes.
Yeah.
Role versus roleplay. I'd argue that one cannot roleplay a class. I think you can, because I mean, class is basically the way when class is done right, it's like encapsulating like an archetype. And I think you can roleplay that.
Yeah. Now, some if we're talking about like D&D, like some classes are more the their names imply a like broader spectrum or a broader group of people than others.
Mhm.
I would say that like with D&D, you absolutely can role play a class, I would say. But what I would argue is that certainly with regards to D&D, there is not nearly enough information or attention given to those classes to buy the book from the words in the text, role play them to my satisfaction. So you would say, you take the example of maybe the most like limited, narrow type of person who could possibly be this class would be a wizard, let's say. But even in the rules, it there is no indication as to okay, you're someone who learned magic. From who and where you learned the magic is going to be incredibly different, such that even though this is not in the rules, I would play or run any wizard that, let's say, this guy learned from Hogwarts, and you're playing a character who learned who learned wizardry from from Black Phillip in The Witch.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be completely different. The thought process is going to be, and the role player is going to be diametrically opposed, possibly. So right. I would say,
well, I mean, that's like even if because I know some games like Axe will say, if you're a mage, you are assumed to be a part of like the local mages guild. What is that?
What is that?
And like, is this mages guild different than like the mages guild down the road?
Yeah.
Are they like an intercity organization? Yeah. Like what? Like
this is what one of the things. Yeah. not to go on a tangent, but this is one of the aspects that I really like about Mithras, because Mithras says this explicitly with regards to how magic works. Is when you have a magic skill, it's a magic skill. In parentheses, Black Phillip or Dark Forest Cabal, or the Academy of Arcane Sciences. It's explicit to you. You learned in a very particular way.
Right.
The geometric or the astrological patterns, the way you approach magic is going to be different than someone else, and you can't necessarily talk shop in more than a surface level with that person. But that's a tangent.
Yeah.
But I would say you could roleplay a class.
Yeah, I think you absolutely can. Optimizing a character is not enough. In fighting games, there are optimizing combos, but if you don't know the matchup, then you won't be playing to win. Continued. Optimizing roleplay during the campaign, matching up the character of the campaign during the game, rather than just using a build guide, is a path to winning. Continued. You know the rules and mechanics of the game you're playing wrote, so that you can make optimized choices subconsciously, so the mechanic choices do not override the role playing.
I mean, I guess I would agree with that. I'm not sure if by optimization, are you talking about just knowing the rules or not? So we said at the outset, like knowing the rules is important. As a player, you should know what the rules do.
Well, and this is the thing, like if basically what you're saying is be hyper competent at the game, which I'm totally for, and your character will be like hyper competent within the context of the world.
But that's the thing, your character may not be hyper competent, right?
Right.
Even if you're a wizard or whatever, you're a fighter. But I just learned how to be a fighter. I just learned this new technique. Or I'm playing someone who is struggling to be whatever it is they're trying to be. Or they are in this circumstance, or they're serving in this capacity, or they are this class despite what they would otherwise want because of circumstances. I'm a noble's son. I'm the last male heir. And even though
or female,
no,
I'm just kidding.
I don't want to fight on the battlefield, for my family's honor and for whatever. I'm taking up this mantle because of responsibilities that I have, but I'm not really good at it. Or maybe I would be good at it if I put myself into it, but I'm not. My character's inner life is not at that point where he is.
Could you argue though that say you rolled up totally mediocre stats and your character is never going to be Hercules, or Conan or something like that. Can you optimize that character basically playing within the character's own natural limitations, playing as strongly as you could?
So I would say you should play as strongly as you could to the psychology and the physicality of that character, not to the upper reaches of what the mechanics would allow you to do based on your level in class, if that makes sense. So again, to use this example of, and let's say for sake of argument, this person who doesn't want to be, let's say he's a fighter or he's a cavalier, and he doesn't really want to be that. Let's say he has 12s across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Even with those 12s, there is an upper limit to the optimization. I could, as someone who knows the rules completely, I know that there are not only feats that I can take and certain numbers of ranks in skills that I could take to get the most out of this character as from a mechanical point of view, as a level 3 cavalier with 12s down the line. However, in this example, I've illustrated someone who is their inner life is in conflict with basically the class that they have, right? So I'm not putting 100% of myself because I really don't want to be doing this. Maybe I'm a coward as well. So even though I know as a player that there are certain attack maneuvers, or there's certain ways I could position my character, the character himself in the moment in the scene does not necessarily have access to those things. Does this make sense?
Well, here's an example. So you were not at our last Wretched Epic session.
No.
But there was a large fight.
Mm-hmm.
And actually this may have happened. No. So this was not when you were there. But our Austin's character, the fraud adventure writer, who is sort of the cowardly lion, they get in this big shootout, and everyone, they're shooting at these like commie lefty anarchists, like 19th century anarchists, and while everyone's doing that, he retreated and ran up the stairs. He could have contributed. He eventually did end up shooting. He rolled really high and just fucking obliterated someone. But he wasted an entire turn. Right.
From a mechanical standpoint, that's what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. And everyone in the group was like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" But I was laughing because I was like, "He's fucking role playing.
He's role playing."
Yeah.
Right. So that is a very
That's what his character. That literally the concept of his character is that he's a fucking fraud and a liar and not an adventurer. Right. Yeah.
So I mean, everything I'm saying, it's you can do this up until a certain point, but if you're starting from a perspective where optimization is sort of the highest goal, it's almost immediately going to result in after effects or ways in which you're de-emphasizing the role play.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm saying this is 100% wrong. I completely
and it's not impossible.
It's not impossible
that you could be role playing authentically while optimizing.
But you have to choose what is the highest end you're endeavoring towards.
And this is the thing: incentives matter, and people respond to incentives.
Right.
So, yeah, if the incentive is I get, I sort of get my rocks off on being fucking hyper optimized, and then that is going to influence the way you play in a way that is opposed to what we think is the proper way to play.
Exactly, and you're going to end up with situations like you just described, where you're going to have people are getting mad at what you're doing, either in combat or even out of.
My AIDS is flaring up. Sorry.
But enough said on that.
Yeah.
That comment.
Yeah. Let's see here. Alignment of player incentives matters a lot too. Bing, bing, bing. Orson the barista, failing in his psych class, might want to plunder and mayhem and beatdowns, while Orlithea, the goth, wants to meet genderqueer dragons. That is a very good point. I have no problem with characters, strong characters that is reasonable in regards to the game world and the experience intended for the campaign.
Right. And again, you can, just like this coward option, you can choose to play someone who really likes what they're doing, and you can do this the opposite way too. But the point is, if you're trying to role play your character, you have to have the space.
Right. And Wretched is actually a great example of mechanics incentivizing you to play within the genre, because you get more experience for being wretched, and for leaning into these your vice, and you get bonuses for doing like dirty tricks and things like that. So that is a way in which mechanics incentivize you to play within that genre.
Right.
Did
we miss the primeval switching costs?
The effects of switching costs can't be understated. Yes.
Yeah.
If our mental bandwidth has to toggle between players focusing on mechanics and character immersion, we cannot help but lose out on some of both.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
Which, to Krafty's point, is that you do want to know the mechanics by rote, so that this context switching is not such a mental effort. I 100% agree with that, and that's what we were saying earlier. It's so much better when everybody just knows the rules. When everybody knows the rules.
It's not good from a mechanical or an immersion perspective if you have to look up what you're doing.
Yeah.
It sucks for everybody.
Yeah, even if you are just going for like the ultimate gamist experience, if you don't know the rules, it's gonna suck. It's gonna fucking suck.
Absolutely.
You know the mechanics of the games you're playing rote, so that you can make optimized choices subconsciously, so the mechanics choices are not overriding the roleplay. Correct. Yes. Primeval Fantasy, RPG, correct. In the fighting game community, this is referred to as the mental stack. Yes. Agree. If one could roleplay their D&D character, that character is just a one-trick pony. Not much roleplay value for what is basically a pog on the map. I don't know. So I agree. I don't think D&D in particular is the best system for role-playing. Certainly not for an immersive game.
No.
It's not. You can do it, but
you absolutely can, but you have to be willing to take the world seriously on its own terms.
That's
the rules, and most shit players don't. Regardless.
But what is the again? This is our point all the time. What is the world in the D&D manual?
Yeah.
It's like there's, I guess, sort of an implied setting. Right. It's not Greyhawk.
Yeah.
It's not Dragonlance. It's not Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
It's some amalgam of Appendix N. So it's something that is sort of nonsensical on its own, and it's hard.
You have to do a lot of work. But I would still say, as trash as D&D is, and it is trash. Like you can like. I'm not saying D&D is a good game. None of us are saying that, but also I also don't underestimate how fucking good I am at this. Like it's If you're trying to do it, if you really want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah. But there are better choices.
There are
way better choices.
Way better choices.
Way better game choices for that.
Yeah.
Seems to me that winning in RPGs
D&D.
is being in character as much as possible while also embracing all the rules and making the most out of those rules at the same time.
Read that again.
Seems to me that winning in RPGs is being in character as much as possible while also embracing all the rules and making the most out of those rules at the same time. I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree.
I don't think I disagree with that.
Speaking.
Yeah. Playing an optimized Chun-Li against a Rose player in Street Fighter Alpha 2 is going to end in a bad time. You have to optimize your muscle memory so that you can free your mind to make good reads and reactions. Yes, and that is why you should know the rules in role-playing games as well. Optimized role-playing. The optimized magic user character is useless when the player doesn't remember how to use the spells or what the spells do. That is a scrub. Yes.
Right.
Yes. It is misery when you have to sit there and look up rules like constantly. It's just
right.
And this is one of the things that made Exalted 3rd Edition so much worse. Even though some of the core systems were vastly improved over the previous edition, and ignoring the kind of cultural garbage that ended up being in the game, one of the biggest fucking problems with that game is the sheer number of named powers. That section of the book it's more than 50% of the book. And that book is almost 700 pages. And you start with 15 charms in that game.
Yeah.
You have to know what they do. And like we were trying to play, and I had read the whole fucking book, and my friends made an effort to know what they were choosing, and we were playing, and it was like, can I use this charm? And it's like, I can't remember. There's like 6 keywords attached to it. Like you have to go through, like, it fucking sucks.
It sounds like hell to me.
It is. It is. It's not a fun game because of the sheer number of things that you have to remember. It's like, it's almost impossible unless you devoted basically your life just to learning that game to the exclusion of everything else. It just sucked. And there's like there's all sorts of different like subsystems in play, and like it's an overly complicated mess with too many things to remember. If the power gamer builds the perfect character but has to look up a guide to use that character, he's not playing to win. He thinks he is, but he's not. Yes. Like if he makes the hyper optimized build but isn't actually familiar with everything within it, and so he doesn't know. It's like you read the build online.
Again, I think we're in broad agreement about this. You should know the rules, even if you're playing a bad wizard. The player should know, even if your wizard may be not particularly clever enough to, let's say, use certain combinations of spells in an optimal way in combat. You, the player, should at least have full awareness what these things are.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Find people that don't roleplay. Plenty of those people to pick from for your game session. Many such cases. +1 sword is my goal / ambition. Yeah. I don't like that.
No.
I want the rules and character sheets to reflect the character and world and genre, not the world and characters to reflect the rules. Yeah, I agree. I only accept optimization as long as it makes sense in fiction.
Right, like you're playing a barbarian and you describe if your strength and con are good enough, he looks like Conan or something. Like I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm a dashing rogue type thing. Yeah. Yeah.
If players could roleplay a class, we'd see much of it on YouTube and in game shops. Well, if players could roleplay, you would see it, but they can't.
This isn't a problem with class. This is a problem with just trash players. Right. They can't roleplay vampires. They can't roleplay regular investigators in Call of Cthulhu.
This is also a very true thing. Black Lodge games might not exist if D&D was role-played en masse? Probably.
There would not be a need for
There
us.
wouldn't be a need, yeah.
Yeah.
Our job would be done.
Right.
That would be the better world.
Yeah.
Fighting games are fighting games, not no role playing involved. Yeah, I don't think anybody.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody's arguing that.
Yeah.
Knowing the rules only means not needing to open a book during the game. Has nothing to do with actually role playing a character or NPC. Correct.
Yes.
But if you don't know the rules, it's going to. It's like you're saying. It's going to interfere with the role play because you're going to be stumbling the entire time. You'll have this context switching, and that should be avoided. That's why you should know the rules. But yeah, except that there are some rules that encourage role play and incentivize role play within the genre in some games.
Yeah, you should know the rules so that you can spend more time in character and ideally zero time referencing anything.
Yeah, that
even
if you're not
referencing, even if you're taking time, like, wait a minute, oh, right, okay, I do have that. If you're taking 2 seconds in your own mind, taking you out of the experience to recollect a complicated or a convoluted mechanic that you haven't internalized.
Hey guys, yay off work and can finally watch.
Hell
Welcome,
yeah,
Rick.
man.
We're glad to have you here. Work over equals good. Yeah. Krafty says, okay, so we are saying the same thing while being in 2 different schools of thought. This is why it is important to seek out people who think about gaming deeper than just the surface level. Yes.
100% agree.
Agreed. Knowing the rules does not always have to mean optimizing a build. I just use that as an example because you were talking about power gaming. Yes. Yeah, I think broadly we're in alignment. However, the kind of broader conversation around this, it's like someone like Gelatinous Rube, like he, to my read of his content, he is only interested essentially in the game aspect of role-playing games.
Right.
As far as I can tell, that's not trying to strawman. And that to me is the exact wrong starting point. The role-playing games, and Mr. Max got in some trouble on Friday for saying this to someone apparently on the Legion of Myth, but there's this unique thing that role-playing games offer that other mediums just can't. You can't get it from movies or books or video games or anything. It is this experience. You get aspects of it in those things. Like if you're watching a movie, you are like a scary movie or an exciting action movie or whatever. You are experiencing the drama and experiencing the danger the characters are in vicariously through what is happening on the screen. You're not an active participant. The amazing thing about role-playing games is if you can manage to be in the moment, in playing pretend. Again, this is the first game. You know, the first game
just make-believe.
Is make-believe. Children instantly understand how to do this. It's the most fun fucking thing in the world. It's transporting yourself to a world that doesn't exist and pretending as if it does. And if you can get in character and make those choices and you have an imagination, that is the most awesome and rewarding experience that you can possibly have. And if you're trying to look to only the gamified elements of these things, and maybe not only, but if that's the primary focus, you're shoving to the side the truly unique and awesome part of these games. It's like I want,
they're pale substitutions of what the real, not only the real fun, the real engagement is, but also the thing that the medium does the best, which no other medium
can do. Yeah. And if you're not doing that, you are tremendously missing out on something.
Right.
Because I've done the game thing and I enjoy games. I don't dislike. I'm not like I hate board games and I hate video games and RPGs. You know, make believe is the only thing you can. It's not what I'm saying at all. I like all those things, but the experience that comes from immersing yourself in a character in this make believe world and taking it seriously and playing it sincerely, there's nothing else like it. It's like, I don't want the best, like most interesting tactical war game or skirmish game, or even like resource management, puzzle solving game.
Yes.
All of those things are cool and can be a part of this. What I want is Westworld.
Right.
I want the holodeck.
Mm-hmm.
And the holodeck, we all have it. It's up here. Well, not all of us have it. I have it. Nick has it up here. It's between your ears. And yeah, I want an experience like Westworld. You know, I want something where I can lose myself in this other reality.
Right.
And
as long as the other things are supporting that and trying to push me in that direction, I'm fine. The minute they start taxing me,
or the minute that those things become the focus,
like now I'm angry because you're preventing me from engaging with the holodeck. You're talking out of character about the business meeting in Westworld, right? Again, it's like that guy. Like, if you mention my foundation one more time, I'll cut your fucking throat. I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
You know, stop. Yeah. Because and like you said, and like I just said, I like video games and I like board games. There are things that board games do excellently.
Yeah.
Which tabletop RPGs don't. I haven't played 40K, but I would imagine 40K or any tabletop war game is an infinitely better tactile or tactical, tactical combat experience. We were both listening to a video, or Rube was talking about different like triggers and conditions and modifiers. Like, that sounds like a World of Warcraft raid. And like, if I want to do that, like those World of Warcraft, say what you want about World of Warcraft, like their raids are incredibly autistically designed to optimize that experience. And if you like it, fine. But just like you were bringing up the example of Exalted, there's only so many conditions and things and modifiers that you can juggle in your head at any one time. A video game with a computer can process these things automatically, instantaneously, and feed you back that immediate response.
Right.
You know, if I want to play a game primarily where all of the rules and movement and actions are completely codified,
and you're doing this, and they're codified, and they gel in this like advanced rock paper scissors style.
Yes, I would play chess. It was invented and it was perfected centuries ago. It's done. You know. Yeah, and you can have these things aren't fully to the exclusion of any one thing, as we've said.
Right.
But that's the starting point.
Right, and the win condition here is having the highlight reel for the rest of your life of the incredible things that happen in the game. And I know people get that from the more tactical game side of this as well, in a way. But to me, that is such a hollow satisfaction, in comparison to these moments when you are in the moment and you are feeling the things that your character is ostensibly feeling. You don't have this distance. It's you blur the lines between your experience and the experience of the character. And this is why people get addicted to acting and throw their lives away pursuing an acting career. It's because if you've taken it serious, well, there's two types. And again, this also applies to role playing as well. There are some people who get off on the performance aspect of role playing. Yeah. And it sucks. Like, I hate it. Like, my own immersion is way more important to me than what it looks like to the rest of the people at the table.
I'm playing it for me, not for you.
And so with actors, you get kind of two types. You get the people who are simply attention-seeking fops, you know. The people who like to be in front of people, like to perform and put this over and like move other people. And then you have people who do it right in my opinion, which is they get so in the moment and so immersed in the scene as it's playing out that you get this thing where these feelings come to you spontaneously as if they were from someone else out of nowhere. And that experience is exhilarating and addicting. Yes. And people chase that dragon as if they, you know, wanting it to be their job and wanting this to, you know, and it's not just because like, oh, I want to seek fame. It's because the experience is
it's
addicting.
Good in and of itself.
Yeah. And it's not something that you can do by yourself. You know, this is why they also, Krafty brought up Basic Expert, like doing his solo gaming and whatnot. And this is where I think the solo gaming thing actually is really cool. And I really actually do want to get into this, is using this as like the training mode on Street Fighter to lab out the mechanics and to get that muscle memory, understand how everything works. That seems fine to me. That experience will never be the same as me playing at the table with you and Ander and other people when we are in the moment and getting that raw immersive experience. You know, because you can't do that alone. It's a pale imitation. But that, to me, that is the win condition, is when you become so immersed that you're the kind of psychology and emotional states and the ambitions and everything between the player and the character get blurred, and you get these.
I feel what my character is feeling.
Exactly. You get these just incredible, like spine-tingling, breathtaking moments, and they live in your memory forever. And I don't remember a single time that I've played a video game or a board game that stuck out in the way that our immersive games have stuck out. So that is how you win at RPGs from Black Lodge Games, is you role play as hard as you can, as authentically and sincerely as you can, to get those experiences. And if you aren't role playing, or you are only engaging in the gamist aspect of this, you will not get those memories. You will not get those experiences. And that is the lose condition. Correct. And it's and that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the gamey parts of this stuff too. I do. It's and those things come up, and it's like when we play, like, we still, every once in a while someone cracks a joke or there's a break in character. It's for a second though. You know, it's not that we don't play with, like, we have no sense of levity or anything about this. It is, you know, we do enjoy it. We live in a fallen world. Yeah.
We cannot have the perfect thing on hand easily all the time.
Right. And this is why we always talk about this too, is that it's moments. It's not the experience is not the whole 4 hours of being I am this character. It's these moments that you get to, and we want to have as many of those moments, and for those moments to last as long as they can.
Yes.
And that does not come from dry engagement with the mechanics. And sometimes the mechanics are going to push you into situations where you get these moments, and that's fucking awesome. And that is why the game element to this can't be ignored or thrown in the trash. You're not just doing improvisational storytelling or theater. You need uncertainty, and you need somewhat objective means of
the mechanics are
determining the outcomes and spurring you forward, calculating your damage and all of these things. They're extremely important, but it's not the fun and the win condition does not come from, oh man, I had the best tactical rock, paper, scissors win that I've ever had in my life, and it was awesome.
Right.
That's not it. It's just not it, and it's never going to be it.
No.
So let's catch up on the chat.
Yes. Mr. Max.
Good evening.
Hello, sir.
Mr. Max. Traveler and Cypher are good for roleplay centric gaming. Yeah, I'm gonna get Traveler soon. I put out in the Basic Experts Guild.
Yeah, Sean, could you repeat? I know you've said it many times. What is the one true Traveler edition.
That's what I asked in their Gilded, and I got 3 different answers.
All right. Well, I'll only accept the answer that comes from Shauner.
Okay.
So
fair. Your only turn is to fight something. Where is the role play? Play an arcade game. Yeah. But the not fun game have really cool coffee table artwork in it. I don't know what that means.
I think he's saying it's a trash game, but there's pretty pictures in it.
Oh, yeah.
Can do, but increasingly not even that.
Not even that? No, the art sucks now, too.
Yeah.
Exalted 3rd Edition is dead to me forever after the release of Crucible of Legends. For a storyteller book, it really goes out of its way to hate on its anime origins, and its main storytelling guidance is safety tools. These people are evil, dude.
Right.
I just saw someone made a video about this book, and I only watched the first 30 seconds or so. It's the guy who does all the Exalted videos. His channel's pretty good. He's obviously I think he's in on safety tools and has talked about the kind of problematic aspects of 2nd edition and whatnot, but he does a fair analysis of most of the game. And he doesn't tell people not to play 2nd edition. He's like, it's still a good game. And he played it a lot. But yeah, that fucking sucks, man. The nail in the coffin for me when I knew it was over was when I looked at Exalted Essence. I opened the book and I was just like, oh no! I was like, I can't ever play this. We will play Exalted 2nd Edition someday.
You will run it.
Yeah. I will 100% run it. Yeah, 100%. Fucking gelatinous Rube. Mr. Max is a big meanie. You are Mr. Max. You are. Not as big as a meanie as me. Oh yeah, Krafty also got involved in that
really?
splat. I guess I got blocked by those people. Apparently, yeah. Exalted 30 is a dead game. That looks like the same comment. Oh yeah, it looks like it just got duplicated. Yep. Okay. I don't have an imagination, so what does the book say I can do for my turn?
Right, it's like we're talking about Matt Colville. How can I possibly imagine this thing I just imagined?
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of battle map or a stat block.
Yeah.
This is literally like a Gordian knot. I can't an insurmountable obstacle.
I'll check for traps. It says so in the rules here. Yeah. I know, that's the thing. Like, you should be able to imagine you should check for traps. And obviously, if you have proficiencies or whatever that help with that in the mechanics, that's fine. But, like, the idea that you should start with the mechanics is, like, the starting point. Like, the answer is not always on your character sheet. Sometimes it is.
Right.
Sometimes it is. A lot of times it's not, especially if you're playing in the otherworld immersion style of trying to get into character. Most of the time, it's not on your character sheet.
This is
the other thing is you should know what's on your character sheet for the most part. It should already be. Again, this is like knowing your rules. Yes. Know your fucking character.
Right.
Know your fucking character and their capabilities.
Yes, and this also points to like a real challenge in putting over the kind of play that we're advocating for, because ultimately, the answer is never going to be found. The thing itself is not fully in the text. It's like a spirit that inhabits the text. Mm-hmm. You can ultimately only hint at what we're talking about. So we could write in a book, or anyone could write in a book. The purpose, the win condition of the game is to immerse yourself in your character as fully, as frequently as possible. But ultimately, because that thing is not that immersion and the role-playing of the character.
Why don't you move in? You're like almost off the frame. Yeah.
Is you can't codify that in mechanics. So it's always going to be a bit of a challenge. If this was just if the hobby was just a list of moves, like on a chess board, that would be one thing, right? But because we're talking about something external or internal, you might say it definitely is a challenge to try and express what we're trying to express in ways that is not too autistic and doesn't go on for
but things
80 pages.
But at the same time, things do need to be autistic.
Yes.
And for anyone out there who's watching this for the first time, or maybe years later watching this stream, whenever we say autism or autistic, we obviously are using this as a term of endearment for the most part.
Right.
So get your panties untwisted.
Or don't. Like, fuck you.
Or cope and seethe.
Yeah.
If you don't have an imagination, you are stuck playing RPGs as a skirmish game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And skirmish games are fun. There's
But
nothing wrong with those.
They're a different thing.
They're a different
thing.
Yeah. And they can be integrated into the role-playing game experience.
Sure.
If you want to do to mass combat and things like that, they can be integrated, but the point is not the skirmish game.
Mm-hmm.
The skirmish game is in service of the immersion and of the role play and of, the holodeck in your head.
Right.
My ultimate RPG nirvana is a community where rules can be examined, then the game at the table is fully immersive, and after a reflection of how we use the rules to make role-playing better. Well, I mean, you got it, man. We're right here. We are building. We are the change. We're being the change we want to see in the world.
Yes.
The holodeck computer will say invalid command if not in character. Yeah. We're at the table during the game. We know the rules so well that rules disappear into the background. Yes, 100% agreeing with you here. But we still role play within the bounds of the rules and the setting. Correct.
Yeah, nothing I disagree with.
Yeah, zero disagreement. 100% big agree. This all comes down to still to 2D players and 3D players. Yeah, I mean that's the most of the problems in the world is 2D people and 3D people.
Right.
D&D is checkers with dice. And then discuss and reflect on how we can do that better and find other people to help us improve our understanding of the line between rules and role playing. Yeah, I mean we love having these discussions. This is awesome. I mean, you and Ryan's show the other day gave birth to this episode. So I mean, we were going to stream regardless, but that was like we were talking about the interview. Yeah, we were talking about it. We're like, this should be the topic of the stream,
right? Because
it's interesting.
Yes,
it was an interesting discussion. So thank you very, very much for that. Patty's Parlor, hey dudes, fellow Ginger. Who is also a game designer and artist. So I think he's on Big Geek Emporium. I know he's also on Rumble. Go and check him out. Nice. If somehow you're in this chat and you are not subscribed to Patty's Parlor, please go
correct
do
that
so.
Immediately.
Yeah. That would be a great community, Krafty Matt, but it's hard when the majority of community hates on certain games and won't try to open their minds to see from a different perspective. Sort of, but I like the argument. I like the back and forth.
Yeah, I also agree that there are certain perspectives which are 100% wrong and should be destroyed.
Yeah. I agree with that too. But this is the thing, like everyone wants, and I don't think this is what Krafty wants, a lot of people seem to want some hunky-dory community where everyone is always getting along and we're all really nice and nobody has any disagreements. Right. Nobody has strong opinions or strong feelings about things. And that to me is hell.
Yeah.
It is hell. I like arguing with people.
It's also like you can't ever approach or...
That's how you become friends.
It's how you become friends. It's how anything interesting happens.
Yeah. That's how things get better.
Yeah.
The constant combat is how you is how ideas become better, and it's the sharpening steel with steel thing. And obliterating the Xeno. I feel like the rules must be in service to the game rather than to themselves. Of course, you have to use the rules and earnestly and accurately to get an idea of how good they serve the campaign.
Yeah, I would agree.
Which is why, again, I'm very interested in doing some solo gaming with games that I've not run before. Like there is Joel T. Clark's Lone Wolf Fists, which is like the Fist of the North Star anime game. Looks like I'm reading it. I fucking love it. It's a very different system, though. So I can't just run this game and like figure it out.
Right.
I have to like actually sit down and roll some dice.
Yes.
In fighting games, it goes from playing the game, pushing the buttons and watching combos, to playing the other person. It goes from technique to a match. Yeah. But of course, once you know what you're doing, you can change the rules to better service your campaign. Yeah, and we've said this many times. We do think that if you get a game that you've never run before, run it rules as written until you understand the game.
Right. You have to know the rules before you can break them.
Right, exactly. And there are lots of games where if you continue to play rules as written, you're retarded because the rules suck.
Yes.
40K is an infinitely bigger money sink for sure. Oh yeah, that's why I never got into it. I was super. So when I was, I really wanted to get into Warhammer when I was in like between 6th and 8th grade. My friend Danny and I were super into strategy games. Mm-hmm. We played like lots and lots of Axis and Allies, and we both wanted to get into 40K so fucking bad, but we were so expensive. 11 and didn't have any money. Yeah. And our parents weren't going to buy that shit for us.
Yeah.
So what we did was each of us had our own, I didn't tell him what I was going to do, but I knew he was going to flip his shit and love it. I was like, bring your Axis and Allies board. He's like, you have one at your house. I was like, we're not playing Axis and Allies. Bring your board.
Yeah.
And so I took white out and all my troop pieces. I whited out the bottom so we would not get them mixed together. Mm-hmm. And I had come up with a rule set that was like slightly based off of the like my conceptual understanding of how Warhammer worked. And we did, and we were obsessed with watching World War II movies all the time. And I built out this entire French town in Legos, and we wargamed Axis versus Allies, but ground troops. Yeah. And we learned very quickly to spread your troops out because grenades kill everybody. Yeah. But it was super fucking fun. I guess I do have a background in wargaming.
Add it to the resume.
Yeah.
I'm qualified to call this.
And I'm a game designer. I got to go to niche extremes, as I've discussed before. Player rule opacity, originating in Eisen's Vow. This removes all meta from the player's minds. Yeah, so this, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, you were talking about removing all roles from the players. The GM handling everything, being the computer for all of the roles, determining success and failure, so that not to break the immersion for the players. That is a step too far, in my opinion, for what I want to do as an experience. But I
would be open to trying it because there are some circumstances where I don't know where I would ultimately come down to because I haven't done it that way. Mm-hmm. But there's ways, for example, like I think a couple weeks ago, Mr. Max on his stream was talking about like sanity rules, and someone was making the case again to not have players roll sanity. Mm-hmm. Because if you are going insane, you don't know necessarily that you're going insane. That's part of why you're going insane.
Yeah.
So, like, I would potentially be open to certain instances and certain mechanics in certain systems, having those be loaded onto the GM. However, there are two taxes that I would foresee in sort of offloading die rolls to the GM. One, the GM already has a lot of stuff that they're already focusing on, and I want to be as free. When I'm a GM, I want to be. I want as much of my mental bandwidth to be accessible to reacting to the players and to generate appropriate responses from the world.
Yeah.
2, why are we using dice and mechanics in the first place? It's in part to maintain a degree of trust and randomness. If the GM is doing all the die rolls, I could see, accusations or potentially being taken out of the experience by wondering, is this just fiat, or is the GM sort of rolling this? Now, maybe you could. It's another conversation, but maybe you could argue this is a mindset thing. I'm not convinced that it is, but I'm interested. I would like to try that.
Yeah.
One day with maybe some certain mechanics. If I ever get to run Call of Cthulhu again, maybe I would try that and see how that goes.
Yeah. Another example of the GM taking over roles is like in Axe, thieves, when they're doing sneaking, the thief always thinks that they're successful at sneaking, or at least, is attempting to sneak. They don't know if they're successful or not. So the GM is rolling on their behalf, and you role play what's happening. And then if you didn't succeed, shit goes wrong for you.
And this is another instance, because I've always maintained that as well. But the player has still rolled stealth, but it's always.
But the character's
like you, whether you roll a 3 or you roll a nat 20, you understand that you in your role play you believe that you're successful.
Yeah.
So.
You need a kick of some sort to snap back to yourself after a long role play session. Fall into a tub of ice water or something. Do the
Joe Rogan thing.
Yeah.
Get into an ice bath for 20 minutes and lose all sensation and lose your sperm count.
Well, I just saw a TikTok today of a guy saying that it was science that had settled this, that you have to ice your balls to increase your testosterone levels and sperm production.
Because I see people on Twitter saying you need to sunbathe your balls every day too.
And your asshole.
Who is right here?
Yeah. Sorry, I missed this. We'll rewatch from the beginning. Awesome. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, right on. Hope you had a good time on Max's stream.
Yeah, we would have been watching that, except that I was chimping out getting everything working for our stream. But we will go back and watch that.
Absolutely.
Krafty Matt says, it comes full circle. Dago? I know who he's talking about. This is like the really famous Street Fighter player who does like the insane combo.
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know how to say his name though, because Dago is an offensive term for your people.
Yes, one which I fully endorse.
Yeah. So we'll say Dago. Dago and Justin knew 3S, is that what's it? Street Fighter 3 so well that people who don't know Street Fighter can watch Evo Moment 37 and see unbridled technique on display in its simplicity. You would watch the combination and be like, how the fuck did that? Like, it's insane.
Okay.
It is.
I'm not familiar with any of this at all.
It's like one guy does this unbelievably absurd combo, and the other guy literally blocks like every part of it.
Yeah.
Like, and it's all happening in real time.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. Mongoose 2nd edition is the best one, of course. Okay.
I still haven't heard from Shauner. Oh, wait.
For roleplay, Mongoose Traveler 2nd edition 2016 or 2022 update will do.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'm tired of seeing.
Stay clear of the rest.
I'm tired of seeing videos on Traveler. I know Shauner did a response to someone else's review on Traveler, and I'm tired of not being in the loop. So
Basic Expert was recommending Classic Traveler, the original.
Okay.
Just the original edition.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take Shauner's advice for my first purchase.
Yeah. Or we can do this. You can get 2nd edition. I'll get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I think it might be out of print, so
it probably is.
I'll have to find a PDF that fell off a truck.
Yep.
Now we can all have fun. Sorry, I couldn't resist. What did he say? That Shauner, thanks.
Oh.
Did we miss a comment by you? I don't think we did. Or maybe they're talking about something that happened outside of the stream. glad to see Black Lodge Games back to streaming. Me too, man.
Yeah.
And we are working on content again.
Yes.
Now. And this is
now that all the bullshit is behind
now that
us.
all the bullshit is gone and done with. We're back to making content, and since we now live in the same town, we're going to be spending a lot of time in person working on this stuff.
Absolutely.
So look forward to a lot of stuff coming in the next year.
Oh yeah.
Fuck battle maps. My players will get some squiggles on grid paper. I'll make them imagine the rest.
I'll just make them imagine all of it.
Yeah. Spend 1 billion years looking for the perfect battle map. Yeah, that was like that thing in
the thing with Matt
Colville. Yeah, where he's like going through like all the different times of day for individual maps. It's like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Do you know what a forest is? Can you imagine what a forest looks like? Like,
there you go. You've done it.
Yeah. Come on, get closer, guys. I've experienced those immersive moments you guys talk about in very limited amounts, unfortunately. Enough to agree with you guys, though. What are the most immersion-friendly systems in your opinion?
So we can talk about some. I think this is something we want to get into when we
keep going.
Start making some additional YouTube videos, doing deep dives on games that we've played in the past or games that we're looking into for the first time. I would say, there you go.
Yep. If you want a game that is, it's got some mechanics in it that encourage roleplay, but the entire philosophy of the game is about immersive roleplay, check out Within the Ring of Fire from our good friend, Andrew Wood. Mm-hmm. That is Wood Wad on YouTube.
Wood WWAD.
Wood WWAD. But Within the Ring of Fire, there's a chapter on role-playing in this that's pretty good and really sets out the expectation that you get you win by getting the highlight reel, mm-hmm. and it's very good. And this book, 77 Thrones, in my opinion, is like the best RPG source book ever made in terms of coming up with hooks and storylines and everything like that. It is incredible. I referenced this book every single time that I was going to run a session of Within the Ring of Fire.
Yes. So many of my games were started solely from an idea that I had just looking through that book.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. So this is a good place to start. We check out our video on Within the Ring of Fire and our talk with Andrew Wood
a couple weeks ago,
a month ago or so, about this game because it is flawed. It's not perfect by any means. Some of it is kind of messy, but
that's the charm of it.
That is part of the charm of it, and it's really in
some ways it makes no sense.
Yeah,
and yet
this probably is my favorite game of all time.
Yeah,
I love it. I absolutely adore it.
Yep. And I would say, since this is also here, Shadows of Esteren. This game is it's a French game that was translated into English. I know it's from a French company. I don't know if I can't recall if they explicitly made English editions from the get-go or not. But this, by far, is the game which has gone to greatest lengths with the greatest success in designing a fully holistic game system, from the layout, the production value, the mechanics, the writing, the character options, the art, everything, specifically for an immersive character roleplay experience. Yeah. This is absolutely incredible. This is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend this. All you need is just this book, which is book 1, Universe. There's a number of additional books which go into greater detail about different areas of the setting, which is not an entire world. The world in Shadows of Esteren is just a peninsula.
It's pretty small.
It's a small, localized area, part of a larger sort of unknown continent, which is never really mentioned, certainly never directly. You don't go there.
It's purposefully mysterious.
Yeah, this world is absolutely incredible. If you want to feel like you're reading like a book while you're referencing a rules a rule book here, and get inspiration from the art, from the writing, from the characters, highly recommend Shadows of Mistborn.
It's fucking awesome. Additionally, I would recommend Stalker, the sci-fi role-playing game from Burger Games. And this is how you do a world-built dungeon. This is not a funhouse dungeon, but the game is essentially
the world is a dungeon.
The world is a dungeon, and it's the most dangerous fucking dungeon ever created. And it's awesome. This is a super, super atmospheric game. I would suggest pairing it with a different system, because the system in this game is diceless, and I don't really like it. It felt there is a system to it. There are mechanics, but it felt very much as the game master that I felt very uncomfortable running it, because it felt like I had too much power of like putting my finger on the scale, but it's like, that's how you resolve the mechanic almost, and it's not that's not the right way to describe it. I haven't figured out exactly what it was, but it just, I need some sort of a die roll or some other thing that's more neutral. And I was trying to be neutral, but it felt very difficult to be neutral. But this game is fucking amazing. The world is so evocative, and it is absolutely focused on role playing. The art is all black and white. I don't know if you can see this. It'll be out of focus there. Yeah, I can't really change the focus on here. All black and white, super evocative, kind of has an old school vibe to it. And it's awesome. This is absolutely worth looking at. This is from Burger Games. You can still get it on Lulu and PDF, I think, through drive-through, maybe. This is great.
Yep. Blood and Smoke also, which we've talked about.
Yeah, Blood and Smoke. This is unfortunately Onyx Path is terrible now. They've decided to become worse every year. But this game came out in like 2013, maybe? This edition? Maybe 2015? 2013. So it was before the culture war really kicked in. And it's really good, really awesome. The God Machine Chronicle, which is the Chronicles of Darkness core
most
book.
Of the second edition lines.
Most of the second edition lines for the now known as Chronicles of Darkness are absolutely dedicated to immersive role play.
Right. And we're going to be talking more about a lot of this stuff. I'll just throw out RuneQuest as a final note from me, a final suggestion from me, something I really want to dive into soon on this channel. RuneQuest. RuneQuest role-playing in Glorantha, the latest edition.
And to play.
What's that?
And to play.
And to play. Well, and to run.
Yeah. Well, I know.
Yeah.
I will get to play.
Yes.
And you will run it.
Yes.
So we'll be doing that. I think we've kind of decided, though, the first game you're going to run is Promethean.
Promethean.
Right? Yeah. When we find the right players.
Second edition Promethean.
Yeah, second edition Promethean. That is a game I have wanted to play since the first edition came out so fucking badly. I never had a chance to, and I am super, super pumped to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I am also currently, I just started my reread again of Blood and Smoke, because Vampire the Requiem is one of my favorite games of all time. Mm-hmm. And when we find the right players, I'm going to run the Chronicle I have always wanted to run, which is in, which I also have the book, but I won't pop over it again because who cares? City of the Damned, New Orleans, prior to Hurricane Katrina, because that book came out. It was the signature city of the vampire line.
Right.
It came out in like 2004, late 2004, right before Katrina hit.
Yeah.
And Katrina changes everything. The World of Darkness or Chronicles of Darkness games are
awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Even if Onyx Path is gotten worse and worse and worse over time.
Something it might be, I don't know if it'll be, will have any insights which are worth sharing on the channel. But so you've just started your full reread of Blood and Smoke. I've been rereading all of Promethean 2nd edition. Promethean came out years after Requiem, so I'm curious. I wonder if there will be some interesting insights from Blood and Smoke to Promethean 2nd. Maybe not, but
maybe. I don't know. But yeah, those are all good starting points. You guys need to stop being autistic right now. If only we could, man. Yeah.
Can't turn it off.
I'm autistic, so no worries from me. Good. Hey, Primeval. No, I want disagreement. Yes, agree. Wait, do I disagree, though? Unless disagreement leads to discourse, and that leads to a deeper understanding of the hobby. Exactly.
Yes. And literally anything else.
Anything else, yeah. The absolute force by which I totally shit on my friend's inferior taste in music. But we still love each other. Exactly.
Godspeed.
Yeah. Everyone gets a gold star, nerd think. It's depending on your GM and players. Both must commit to the RP aspects. Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Like regardless of the game you choose, the most important thing is that you have to get the right players.
Right.
Which just means that you all have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to seek out the greatest actors in the land. That's not it. You all just have to want the same experience and try to do the same experience. Right. And I highly recommend checking out Crispy's channel. Crispy is in the chat here. He was right here, Table Runner, because he's doing this with his table right now and having a whole lot of fun with it.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Okay, got to lock up the dealership. Thank you for the good discussion. Yeah, well, thank you, Krafty. We would love to have you on the channel sometime.
Yeah, man. For sure.
What 28mm RPG said. Yep. Hey, dudes. Congrats on the move, Nick, I believe.
Thank you.
You are correct.
Yes, indeed.
AIs make terrible GMs. They mimic terrible players. Oh, God. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
The Game Master rolling all the dice is no different than the Game Master controlling your character, in my opinion. Player-facing is far more legitimate than Game Master-facing games. That's my intuition.
Yeah, I mean, I am almost positive I would come down almost entirely on player roles, but it's just not something I've tried. I feel like I might be, in certain circumstances, open to GMs taking... doing some die rolls in secret, but I don't know.
I'm not against that. I mean, I've done shit like that all the time.
Yeah,
throughout playing, but I don't think I would want all of it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I still do enjoy the game aspect of the games a lot of the times, and so I feel like you are kind of missing out on that as a player if you're not rolling.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. The ancient Greeks sunned their balls. Ancient Greeks did a lot with balls. Read the player opacity thing. It's one of those things you have to experience and experiment with to decide. And doing so on a spectrum is the way to start, but too big of a topic for now. Yeah, make some more videos about that.
Yes, please.
The GM doing all the dice rolls is just some guy role-playing a random number generator with prompts for players. This is what we're talking about. Disagreement. You're right, 28mm, that has been my experience. D&D 5e system does also take me out of the immersion mindset a lot, so I want to join online groups in other systems to see if that helps. Yeah, if you can, that would be the other thing, is just, I think that if you can play other games, you're going to find different types of players than the people who are playing 5e.
Right.
Because if people are diehard 5e people, they're generally not going to be the immersive style player.
Yeah.
And I think also they're just not open to, you need people who are kind of high on openness to experience and being a little vulnerable. And if you're like, I only play this one game.
Right. Try some things outside of the D20 like space.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not a chimp out if somebody can't get fired for calling it out. Yeah. Well, it was not on camera, so, but it was at the camera. Wandering Mage, you're welcome to join up in one of our future games. Keep in touch. Yeah, 28mm runs games all the time.
Hell yeah.
He's also got rpgcrusade.com, I believe, which you can check out, and I'm sure you'll find some people over there. The content must flow. Yep. We must become influencers. Nobody that role plays cares about fighter arcade games. Shonner with no chill for Krafty. Yep. Sounds good. Why does your house look like a normal person house and mine looks like the Unabomber's cabin? I don't know, Max. I'm jealous. I need to get my shit together. Well, it only looks this way because I decided to deceive everyone into thinking that my apartment is clean. Looking behind the couch, I think a trip to IKEA will set you up. Yeah, that's true. This used to be, so I one of my other hobbies is DJing, and this used to be my DJ platform. And I live alone, and I moved this out of the room because I got a new like standing desk for that setup. And then I realized I would have to break this down and carry it down 3 flights of stairs. So now it sits behind the couch. I have homemade furniture. So did the Unabomber. I guess that explains it. And don't forget, it turns out the Unabomber was right about pretty much everything. Uncle Ted. Uncle Ted nailed and skewered the leftist mind, but I do not agree with him about industrial society at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's aspects of it that he got right, but I think a lot of it is more intellectualized primitivism, and I have nothing but hatred for that. I like civilization, and I think technology is awesome.
I picked up one of his books at a conference in earlier this summer, which I have yet to read. But
you picked it up from an unidentified package.
Yeah.
I guess I'm getting at a crossroad in my life where I can either start sending packages or I normalize my life. Well, you are moving to a house closer to civilization, so I think that we're safe from you sending packages. I would use Stalker with Mongoose Traveler 2016. That is probably a good idea. I've also considered using it with Wretched, but
I feel like Wretched might be too like exuberant and like.
Yes, you'd have to tone it down, yeah. but it's also I don't think it has, because the system in Stalker is more skill based, even if it's not rolling dice and whatnot. But it would probably be a better fit with that, from my limited knowledge of Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition. Stalker looks like a job for Traveler. You beat me to it, Shonner. Packages it is. I saw the movie. Yeah, the movie's great. It's based off the same source material, but the game is different.
Right.
It takes place more in the modern day, and it's not in Russia. It's there is a Russian zone, but the zone that is presented in the book is like a portion of Toulouse, France, the city, and the surrounding countryside.
Yeah.
Ran a Traveler game using World of Darkness once. That was cool. Interesting. Promethean maxing. Yep.
Hell yeah.
Oh, we got a super chat. $50. Whoa. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, I feel like that was a
Traveler purchase. Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Woo! That's the biggest super chat we've ever. You're giving Buttquack a run for his money.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Holy
man.
shit,
Thank you. We really fucking appreciate that. That means 100%. A lot.
Yeah.
The Chronicles of Darkness seems to be the only game line that hasn't been infected by their culture war stuff yet. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, you made this point before that a lot, especially a lot of the earlier Chronicles of Darkness lines ended basically.
Yeah.
Before
the culture war.
Before the Great Awakening happened. So, yeah, I guess I would say that. So, like the games themselves, yes.
Most of them. Some of them are not, though. Like, what is that one, like Beast or whatever?
Oh yeah, Beast the Primordial. It just fucking sucks. Yeah. But yeah, the earlier lines, I would say anything,
and it's just bad.
It's just bad.
Thought? Like, what a coincidence.
Yeah, I know. I would say stop paying attention after Demon.
Yeah.
Demon of the Descent. Demon of the Descent is awesome. Amazing premise. And steer clear from like the current commentariat.
Yes.
On the games, because that is irrevocably polluted at this point. But the books themselves, they are for the most part okay.
Yeah. And since it was pre-culture war, it was, you could have people who were complete, like what we would consider like insane lefties write good products, because it wasn't about
about that.
Yeah, it wasn't about that. Even though some of it is a part of it, like the Blood and Smoke, like Vampire has always been a game that has had like a lot of sexual content in it. Blood and Smoke to me feels like it got amped up a lot. It is a game about sex and murder, and so there's a lot of, I mean, there's just a lot of debauchery in the game. The game is there. It's a big part of it, but it's not done in a. It's not
about having those scenes or putting over political messages,
right?
Or identitarian politics, one way or shape or form.
Exactly. The all of the sexual content is there in service of the genre of the game, not in service of the message. You know, the narrative. Still have my character sheet from the last time you almost ran New Orleans. That was fucking awesome, man. Gibbons got me into Vampire initially in high school. We hit it off in theater class. I was talking about D&D, and he's like, well, have you ever heard of Vampire the Masquerade? And I was like, what's that? And then we went back to his place, and he showed me, and I was like, this is fucking awesome. And we were obsessed. He was already obsessed, but then we were obsessed together from then on. And we hadn't played together in over a decade. We hadn't played basically since we were in high school. And he was living in New York, and we decided to give it a shot. Started running a Blood and Smoke New Orleans game. And the instant, it was exactly like when we first met, when I ran that game, Crypto Locker.
Oh yeah.
The second Matt opened his mouth, because I was like, I don't know, maybe who knows if he's still actually good, or like, it was a long time ago. Maybe we were really bad at this, The second he opened his mouth, I was like, fuck yes, we're back. Like, it was like,
so bad.
We are so back. Gibbons is a phenomenal role player.
Yes.
A phenomenal role player. And it was awesome. That's probably because they abandoned the Chronicles product line. Yep.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean,
there's V5, there's the new editions of.
Is Onyx Path involved in that in V5?
I mean, it's so hard to tell. Onyx Path released, I think, they released 2 V5 books because they were like freelanced out to do it, which if I remember correctly, Fall of London, which is a Chronicle book, which is actually not bad, and Cult of the Blood Gods as well. But I have no fucking idea like who is doing what on any of on either V5, W5, Hunter. It's not clear to me if the Hunter the Reckoning game line is actually distinct from V5 or not, from like a IP kind of a thing. I don't know. It seems like a mess, but I know that Onyx Path did at the beginning release 2 books, and I don't think that they are right now. Yeah. And if they are in the future, it's not necessarily the case. Like it's not theirs the way like the 20th anniversary editions were,
or like Chronicles. Cleaning your house is not trickery; it's women's work. Time to hit the post office. The Unabomber stated his ultimate goal was revenge, basically. Dude wanted to kill people because they simply annoying long before he had had this primitivist ideology nonsense. Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, like, he killed a bunch of innocent people, too. Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like even if you believe in his ideology, it was a lot of times pretty indiscriminate. It was just whoever found the fucking package.
Yeah.
So he was a psychopathic murderer, but a very interesting one.
Interesting one. Who was not wrong about.
Not wrong about everything.
Yes.
I'll try the Civilization. I'm moving in 2 weeks. Well, congratulations.
Nice.
Man. We welcome you back to Civilization. Alvarez uses a modern phone tree with no ability to talk to a human and tell me the Unabomber was wrong. Use a modern phone tree.
I don't know.
Yeah. Same old.
So same old G is one of the OG, or maybe like one of the second wave RPG YouTubers. He was big with Shawner and with Rune Slinger.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, he tends to go on sort of long hiatuses. It seems to me like this is his longest one, but I saw Shawner did a video like a couple days ago responding to a Same Old G video, and I went to Same Old G's channel wondering if there was a new video, and I didn't see it. So I don't know if that's an old video or not. He's an interesting guy. I know if he ever comes back, he is someone with very strong opinions. I agree with a lot of it.
Good.
And I disagree so hard about so much. He was also very big into Burning Wheel, from what I can recall, but definitely would be a significant boon to the discourse if he were to return. Another Canadian, another French Canadian.
That's Canadian money. You should read it more like $32. That's true. And then YouTube will take its cut.
Yeah.
But still, we appreciate it. Thank you, Liberal NDP Party. Yeah, sorry, man.
Ooh.
Your country sucks.
Yeah. Fucking blows.
I like Deviant the Renegades a lot.
See, I didn't do a deep dive on Deviant. I did not care for the premise. Or it seems to me like the premise was the premise, as I recall, for Deviant is sort of body horror. And John Carpenter's the thing.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me that.
So it seemed this was very much the case with Beast, where they had a kernel of an idea which sounded interesting, but was never developed. All of the dialogue about Renegade, it seemed like they weren't putting in the legwork. Maybe I'm wrong. And then I don't remember what I saw or I got. I somehow read, I think a portion of the, not the play test, but the pre laid out prototype writing. And it seemed to me, from what I recall, if I'm remembering the game right, it was it very much was a carrier of the message very strongly, where it seemed to me like the general assumed thing that you're doing is sort of getting revenge on someone who has basically raped you, someone who has wronged you. You're getting back at your oppressor. And I said no, and I stopped caring after that. Yeah. But I would love to be wrong, and I would love. I'm a fan of good things, so if I am wrong and they were able to salvage it or turned it into something that actually was coherent and evocative, then cool.
Beast is their worst Chronicles game.
I would agree.
Identity and equity politics was not rampant like it is now. ESG and DEI were not a thing yet. Yeah, it was a better time in some respects. Yes, I shouldn't leave the progressive conservatives out of that rant or whatever they're calling themselves these days.
Yeah, they're.
Matt got groomed. True. No, you are. Onyx Path is no longer involved in V5. Renegade Games has taken over all World of Darkness 5 RPG books.
Yeah.
Even reprinting Onyx Path work as if Renegade worked on it.
Because that was the thing. I saw, I think, a YouTube ad or a Twitter ad for one of these fucking V5 like AR games or whatever, and it said like V5 by Renegade Studios, and I was like, huh, what do you mean Renegade Studios? I know they did Werewolf, so that makes sense if they've looped it all into one shop.
Man, I can't believe those fucking properties have been passed around like that so much. It's
I
so
know,
fucked up.
And I am so, I've said it before. I'm a V5 appreciator. Mm-hmm. For a number of reasons, which I've spoken about previously, I still have love for that edition of the game, this latest edition of Masquerade, even despite a lot of the bullshit around it. So I hope it doesn't go away. Mm-hmm. I hope that the IP lasts long enough, outlasts the progressives, mm-hmm. which may be a futile hope, but I'm hoping for better days ahead. And I'm hoping for an edition of Mage: The Ascension that makes fucking sense to me.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, probably not.
It was a 9-year-old video of his. I think Samuel G has said all the things he needed to. The best World of Darkness game was Werewolf, where you can play a savage beast striking back at industrial society.
See,
you can. So, like, now, though, I assume if you're playing Werewolf, you're going to be one of the people who, like, sits in front of the road. It's like, stop oil.
Who's going to be shot by an old boomer?
You savagely go into the museum and throw paint on the painting.
That's the thing. It's like it's such a stupid. You're not fighting well against industrial society. You're not fighting against industrial society with either any kind of like nuance is not the word. It's just it's just Captain Planet with more violence. I go to the oil refinery and I blow it up and I kill all the people there. Like, I get it, they're werewolves and it's rage and they're not supposed to be like smart, but you're also supposed to be shaman of the earth and have some kind of like deep fucking wisdom. I don't know. I hate a lot about I'm definitely in favor of the worm culling a lot of industrial society.
I want to work at Pentex.
I just wish it was a better. They did a better job.
Yeah,
but I've never resonated with Werewolf.
Emergent Play was another YouTuber that did all he had planned for.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
Toxic Avenger, yeah. Not Werewolf 5, but what can you expect when Worm Agents wrote Werewolf 5? Good night. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. I am getting tired, and I got to get up early for work.
I don't. My company actually celebrates Veterans Day.
Yeah. We don't, apparently. So I will be at work tomorrow. But thank you guys so much for dropping in. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for all the conversation. Really awesome. Thank you for the super chat, dude. That was fucking nuts.
Fucking awesome. Even if it is, Canadian money. But we definitely appreciate it, and we're looking forward to next week. We love how much you guys chat with us. This is so much fun.
Yes.
And that's about it. He says, I'm going to piracy a copy of Democracy 4. Copy of the Democracy 4?
I'm not sure if that's a game, Democracy 4. I don't know.
He's going to do a piracy, though, so that's all that matters.
Right on.
All right, guys, we're going to end the stream. Have a good night.
Take care, guys.